Writers, we are here today to talk about why writing is so hard. I'm Coach Ruth. I'm a multi-published writer, and I also work with other writers to help them overcome roadblocks and move from concept to contract with their writing. And writing is hard, and there's a sense in which it does get easier with experience, but there's another sense in which it will just always be hard because it's a tough process. So there are 5 reasons why writing feels so hard. First of all, everything takes forever. Clarifying your own ideas takes forever. Drafting the first draft takes forever. Revising takes forever. Getting beta readers to give you feedback takes forever. Pitching, learning how to navigate publishing and the pitching process and hearing back from agents and then pitching to publishers and waiting on contracts and then entering the publishing runway. All of that takes forever. And it's hard when you're working on the process to think, wow, someone's going to read this in 2 to 5 years. You know, just everything takes forever. So it's hard to stay motivated daily, especially if you're an extroverted writer like me who needs human interaction and engagement around your work. Also, you're trying to attach words to ideas, which is really the hard part of the human experience, which is why creative thinkers and writers and speakers and communicators are so valuable. Because have you ever read a line from a poem or heard a song lyric or a line in a movie and you've thought, yes, I've always thought something like that, but I've never quite known how to say it? When that happens, you can thank a writer. And that's not easy to do, to take something that inside is just an emotion or an impulse or a vague feeling and think, how to express that in words. That's really, really hard. Most of us just sit feeling our feelings and thinking our thoughts in a big jumble, but writers attach words to clarify those thoughts and feelings, and that's really hard. It's also really hard to tell if you're doing a good job at every single point in the process, because while you're writing something, it feels awful and like it makes no sense even to you who is writing it. So the drafting process feels embarrassing because you think, this can't be human language. This can't be the language I've been speaking since I was born. This is so hard. And then you have to go back and edit and revise, and it just shows you all of your own mistakes and errors. And then you have to let other people read it and they give you feedback, some of it wonderful and some of it constructive and critical feedback. And then you put your work out there into the marketplace, and people will find value or not, depending on their own subjective engagement with it. So someone's going to give you a 5-star review and someone else is going to give you a 1-star review. And it's really hard to tell if you're doing a good job at any point in the enterprise. It's also difficult to decide when things are done because the writing process is just that. It is a process. Writers will often think, every time I read back through it, I find things I want to tighten up and fix and change. And every day, every week, every month, every year, I'm learning more as a person. So if I publish it now, I could be missing out on insights I may not even think of until weeks, months, or years down the road. And I'll be a better writer then. So I just don't know when something's done. This is very, very hard. I have systems and structures and outside feedback now that I use to help determine if something is done, but there's a sense in which projects are never done. I have books out now that if I were to read them now, 10 years later from when I originally started writing them, I would have things I would want to change in that. That's just part of the writing life. So at some point, we have to bring our work out into the world, but figuring out when and how to do that is tough. Also, sharing your work with other people is embarrassing. Writers are some of the only people I know who are like, everyone please read this, but also don't read this. It's like one night before one of my books released, I had a family member say to me, you must feel like a kid on Christmas. You must be so excited to wake up tomorrow morning with your book out. And I was like, you don't get it. I feel horrible about the book launching tomorrow. And the family member said, Ruth, didn't you write it so that other people would read it? It's hard to explain. I did. And I'm very happy when people read anything I've written, but I also would like to fall into an open manhole cover. It's just the weirdest feeling. It is so embarrassing. I'm proud of it, but it's like that middle school feeling of like, look at me, don't look at me. And that's how I feel about my own work. So These are just 5 of the reasons why writing feels so hard. There's probably 500 more if we got writers in a room and let them talk. So some approaches that can help. First of all, focus on the process over the result. If you go into, let's say you're writing a nonfiction book and you go into it thinking, I am going to write a New York Times bestseller. You can't control that. First of all, the New York Times is a curated list, and there's some mystery about how books get on there. There's no doubt the books that get on there do sell well, but they're being watched before. And so it's you can't control the result. You can't control the impact your work is going to have in the world. And one would think, especially one who works outside the industry, would think, well, the better my writing is, or the bigger my idea, the better the impact and the stronger the impact will be. That doesn't always equate. And so you need to focus on the things you can control. What I can control right now is the draft I'm working on, the skills I'm building, the energy I'm bringing to the project. I cannot control the result. If I do a good job with the process, I have a better chance of achieving the results I want. But there are no guarantees in this industry. Good books sell tons all the time, and good books get passed over all the time, and the result is often beyond our control. So focus on the process over the result, and that can make it a bit easier. Treat writing like it's a part-time job. I had to start doing this for my mental health. I am an all or nothing person. I have something I call all or nothing brain. And so when I'm knee deep in a project, I may obsess over it endlessly and feel like I can't stop working on this until it's done. Unfortunately, I write book length stuff right now, so that's years of my life. I can't just obsess over something for years. So I clock in and clock out. I pick writing times during the day. I log in, clock in, do my writing, and then I can clock out for the day. I know when to show up and I know when to leave. I get to put the work down. And even my off days, I don't mean off from writing, but days when I feel off and think I'll just show up at the keyboard and see what happens, they still contribute to the net result later. So I do not wait to feel inspired to write. I sit down and write day in and day out, and the inspired days are fun. It's kind of like surfers, though. If you've ever watched surfers at the beach, they spend a lot of time just bobbing in the water, but bobbing in the water puts them in the right position to catch the waves when they come. That's how I experience creativity. So also building community and accountability around your writing is a game changer, not only because this is a super relational enterprise and a super relational industry, but because I have other voices speaking into my writing life. Everything I write, I will completely sometimes overestimate one way or the other. I will think this is the best thing I've ever written, and it's not even been read by anyone or revised or edited. I just am going off vibes. And then my vibes will sometimes say, this is the worst thing you've ever written. And I'll read it a few days later and go, what? This is fine. Like, having other voices involved in the conversation can make writing easier because, first of all, you talk to other people who get it, and you also get other voices calling out the good in your writing and also cautioning you about things that are not working so well. So other writers being involved in your writing process can make it easier. Focus on the process over the result to get through to the end of something. Treat writing like it's a part-time job to spare your mental health, and then build community and accountability around your writing. The best advice, if you hear nothing else I say today, the best advice I can give you is don't write alone. Be involved in community. Have other voices speaking into your writing life and your writing process. If you are seeing this on YouTube, head up into the bio and click through the link that you see there. I post daily writing tips and advice and build community around the writing life every single day in the link that you're going to see in the bio. So go find me there, and I'll see you on the other side.